Billy's right now as we speak, and they're seeing this fight. All right, round number 3, scheduled for 10 so far. Juan Laporte established himself, staggering Costello in the first round, and kind of took command in the second round. Billy looks tentative. In fact, he looks almost awkward at times.
Well, that's because he realizes that his reflexes aren't there the way they should be. And anytime you're in the ring with a guy and he's got small gloves and he's throwing punches past your head, it's a dangerous situation. So Billy Costello's trying to get his feet wet here without drowning.
Well, Billy's a guy that wants to try to use his power and size by loading up the right hand, but Laporte at this stage looks like he might be quick enough to counter him. Billy not throwing too much here in this third round at all.
Well, look at some of the lateral movement used by Laporte, too. It looks like his legs are better. When he goes to fire, you can see he's got a little more leverage on his punches, a little more snap behind his shots, where Billy Costello is more stationary. And we may see Costello later move to the ropes. A lot of times older fighters will use the ropes for the legs. Right now, they want to keep the fight in the center of the ring.
At this stage, from what Laporte appears, you wouldn't think he's lost too much at all, except for the fact that he's fighting an opponent of the same, roughly the same age bracket as he is. So Billy's not that quick. Billy's standing flat-footed, not showing the movement, the side-to-side movement that he once showed. But he wants to make a fight out of it by loading up the right hand. Laporte's staying outside the kill zone.
Don't forget this too, Colonel. You know, Billy Costello was a decent fighter and a champion for about a year and a half. But he was a very carefully managed fighter. The late Mike Jones, who managed Jerry Cooney, the former heavyweight contender, along with Dennis Rappaport, had Billy Costello, and they moved him along very carefully, built his record until they could get that title shot.
Alieta caught one that time. The crowd comes to life. Billy fighting off the ropes. Juan Laporte nailed him inside. Bangs him to the back of the head. He's bounding up and down. But what he needs to do when he gets caught like that is do what he's done here. That's grab on and walk back. It's not pretty, but that's what you got to do. Because if you sit on those ropes with a guy like Laporte with his hands free, you're going to get knocked out.
Step back.
And you know, the thing is, before we came live with the champions and the legends here, we had a tremendous action fight that happened. So the people seeing these older guys fighting, they're really, you know, people want to see these guys perform so well because a lot of the youngsters have never seen Juan Laporte, Billy Costello. But the guys from 35 on, they're looking for a fight of old, and you can't really bring us back to the thrilling days of yesteryear.
Eddie Funch once told me that with reflexes, it's like elastics in your socks. Once it's gone, it's gone. And with these fighters, even though they're giving their all, the fight fans are not going to see what they would have 15, 20 years ago.
Here's another case where Billy's being beat badly in the closing seconds of a round, and we're coming up to the closing. Well, there is the closing bell of round number 3, and that's another good Laporte round. So at this stage, Billy Costello, who was a tremendous boxer in his prime, is being outboxed by the great featherweight former champion Juan Laporte. We're in the dressing room now with Tim Witherspoon, and here's another example of a guy, John, we talked about at the top of the show. Which Tim Witherspoon do we see tonight? Here's a guy we love. I love Witherspoon and I love Page, but Timmy is just a humorous guy with a great sense of humor. He doesn't feel any pressure, does he?
No, let's face it, Tim Witherspoon has faced all kinds of pressure situations. Let's not hope that the Tim Witherspoon shows up who fought Bone Crusher Smith, though.
Okay, watch this jab now, John.
A great straight right hand by Laporte. Of course, he went to throw the right uppercut. His timing was a little bit off.
Watch this hook now, John.
Left hook on the inside, nice and short, compact by Juan Laporte.
Well, so far through 3 rounds of action, my observations would be that Billy Costello is showing his age a lot more than Juan Laporte. He seems tentative. He's been hurt a couple of times. Laporte, fighting a guy in his own age bracket, looks just fine. Their reflexes may not be, in fact, as you pointed out, the elasticity was a real good explanation, John. And it may not be there, but it's still an interesting fight to this stage. The question is, how many more big shots from Laporte can Billy Costello take before he lands one of his own? He's going to start, you know, throwing caution to the wind. Forget about the fact that they may have to go 10 rounds and try to win this fight by throwing bombs.
The problem is the heart may be willing and the mind is willing, but the body is weak. You cannot get off the shots like you can when you're a younger man. You see an opening, but by the time it registers from your brain to your muscle, you miss the shot.
Well, neither fighter has been down. Costello was visibly shaken at the tail end of the first round. Laporte continues to land heavier blows, but he's puffy around his right eye, so Billy's getting that jab through on occasion, and he wants to load up the right hand. And Laporte is still a cagey boxer, too. He doesn't want to get nailed by any heavy shots, in spite of the fact that from time to time, Billy looks a bit awkward. But you know one thing I'm noticing with his jab, he's not really driving off the back foot. He's kind of popping off it, so he's not getting any power with his jab. And you can't just jab. You got to throw the right hand behind it. See what I mean? Watch him when he throws the jab down.
I would like to see Laporte use the jab a little bit more effectively. I think he is worried about that right hand by Billy Costello.
Both guys tried body shots. And here they are, shades of their former selves, letting it fly. I mean, in order to become a boxing champion, you have to have a tremendous heart. One guy that we're going to see before the night's over, Larry Holmes, one of the greatest hearts of all fighters of all time. We'll talk about that later on when Larry fights. But both of these guys possess it too. Look at Billy trying to battle back. This is his best round since the first round.
No question.
And again, here we are into that last minute of the round, John, and I'm trying not to harp on the fact that I really think the 2-minute format would have been better for guys over 40. That it just would have been a better format, but they're going 3 rounds, and there's no sense of me staying on top of that because that's what we're going to see tonight. Billy looked like he almost wanted to put his hands down, but it didn't appear to hurt him.
Juan Laporte, you see, going to the body a little bit. Of course, that's the best thing to do against an older fighter. That immediately takes his legs away. A lot of hooks being thrown on the inside. It's a dangerous proposition by both fighters.
These guys have been in training for about 6 weeks. They're working as hard as they can. To get a 40-year-old body in shape will probably take 6 months to get it. And even then, as the bell ends round number 4,